Folks, Vegas opening line Thursday, November 14th. I'm Frank here, and we are going to go tonight. We got an NFL game. We got Steelers at Browns. My gosh, these Steelers are getting 3. Boy, that sure looks good to me. In fact, it almost looks too good, but I'm going to go. I am playing the Steelers tonight. I'm going to take the Steelers plus the 3. I know it looks really trappy, but how these Browns can be laying the Steelers 3 is beyond me. But, let me tell you about NFL lines and how they were made. I remember I grew up here in Vegas. There used to be a guy named Bob Martin, sharp guy. He's a lines maker out here, old school. One thing about about NFL lines, the market's really, really efficient. So is the World Cup soccer, big soccer leagues. Those are efficient betting markets. But one thing still is true in NFL. Bob Martin, back in the late 60s, 70s, and 80s, this guy was so sharp and so good. Back then we didn't have the info like we used to get it now. He would make a call when he was a line maker. He had bookmakers all over Cleveland, Philly, Boston, bookmakers all over the every Sunday night he'd start calling these guys Monday morning. What are you using on the game? What are you going to use on the Browns? What are you going to use on the Eagles? He'd find out because back then local bookmakers, they always would get their public. Like if you were in Cleveland, they'd skew those Cleveland lines up a point if you wanted the Browns. If you were in Philly, all the local guys would skew their points according to their customers. But he'd call each and every one of them and see what they were using. Then he'd come up with his number. And he knew that they were skewed. Look, you can't do that anymore with the internet. You get buried. Forget it. There's too much info right now. But that's how this guy, because NFL lines, forget all these stats. NFL stats are like balls on a faithful priest, okay? They're only good for fantasy football. So many of these lines are based on perception. The general public, oh, the Steelers are going to kill them, the Raiders are going to kill them, they suck, and they lay these overinflated points still on perception. Not quite as much as it was before because you can't get crazy because there's too many sharps and the information is too widely accessible and people have sharpened up, so you just can't get crazy, but they still are based on perception. Okay, on a lot of it is perception. Then you have your quality of teams, and it's a number that they feel is going to get two-way action. That's what it's really about. But guys, somebody asked me, Frank, how do you get your plays? Well, I get my plays a lot of ways, okay? A lot of ways. First of all, my own takes and feels on games and things. But guys, I know I still have 2 of my best friends run the major books back in Costa Rica. They exactly tell me what the sharp accounts are on. I even have one guy who I call him America's worst bettor. My friend books him out of Tulsa. This guy's the worst bettor in the whole world. Bets a ton of money on games, but he's the worst. So whatever he bets, we fade that. We have a lot of ways of getting games. I spy on good accounts. Remember, when I got into this business really, really big in the early 2000s, remember, I was shaped and formed by, Pinnacle and the guys at Pinnacle, the guys over at Five Dimes. Some of the sharpest bookmakers would teach me on all these games. These guys were sharp. They never kicked anybody out. If they gave a guy a 10-dime limit and the guy was killing them for a lot, they just cut him down to 1,000 or 2. But they never threw him out because now at 1,000 a game, they said, now the guy works for me. Because, they would let the guy keep betting, and the guy needed all the outs he can get. They'd just let the guy keep betting, and now they would bet out his games 20, 30, 40 to 1, set traps with his games. We had one guy, a hockey guy over there at Pinnacle, was this little guy from Australia betting $200 to $300 a game, beat us out of every year, beating us out of almost $20,000, $30,000 a game. I mean, a season in NHL betting $200 or $300. You know what we did? They hired him. They hired a guy. That's what these guys do. They never kick nobody out. These guys were really good. They either hired him, or now they would cut their limits and let the guys bet into them, and now they would just bet their stuff out. You never get rid of anybody. And even the worst guys, if you got a guy that's really, really a bad bettor, a horrible bettor, that guy's valuable, guy. If he's hitting 30, 28, 32%, that's gold. You just fade him. I would love to have a microphone by every water cooler in these big offices, and just sit there when all these guys, when there's a Monday night or Thursday night game, whatever they're betting, just go the other way on it, guys. That's the public. That's the public betting. That's why these numbers, the numbers that move late is generally not sharp money, and it's public money, and you want to go the other way on it. But tonight I'm going to use the Steelers. I'm starting to look starting to look at, on a lot of these lines right now. One thing I can tell you about this NBA though, I got to tell you guys, with this new scoring and this no defense and these guys all flying around shooting threes, you got to be out of your mind. These games land on 200, 250, 271. Not like the old days, guys, when, you know, these games were 184. Remember some of the playoff games with the Pistons and the Bulls? Total 173 and a half, 175. Now you got these games 235. It reminds me of the Nuggets in the 80s with Kiki Vandeweghe. All the games were 248. They would land on 210 or 270, just like whatever. Doesn't even matter. Bookmakers gotta love this, laying $1.10 in this kind of unhandicappable scoring. But guys, Frank Perez here. It is a Thursday in Vegas. I'm going to use the Steelers tonight. I'm going to be back after this. I got a couple videos I'm going to do. I got 2 or 3 college games I'm going to put out early. My friends ain't going to get pissed for me releasing them. So I'll be back right after this, folks. Thank you.